time since I posted the video. Well, here's the video. I just like to address that, hey, ever since I've been back, the views have been pretty good. Um, the conversation is getting better. I just hope this video turns a little bit around. Uh, on top of that, I would definitely say that doing this kind of video is new territory and also interesting. uh, the last thing I should point out is that the reason for the long wait has been because I had to get a new editing software. The old one I had, it got a little bit bad, so I had to get accustomed to the new one. Also, it was really hard to record. It was really hard to do. It was really hard to get anything done. So I got a little bit more done. And yes, it is like 4 a.m. over here. I'm like dead tired, but I just wanted you to let you know that I'm gonna be, I'm posting another video. Hope to see you guys soon. Enjoy the review. Oh my goodness. How do I get started with this one? To be honest, I didn't expect much from this game after watching the very interesting trailer where your lovers turn into weapons you wield to fight your fears. On paper, and even explaining that in words does not denote how ridiculous that concept sounds, but I came away very surprised by this indie title for what it provided. Before I continue, I have to be honest about one thing. I only started to play this game in order to complete daily and sometimes weekly challenges on Game Pass, but once I actually started playing through the first dungeon, I was all in. And the first thing I would probably have to say is what compelled me to actually play this game. So on Game Pass, you can actually play through touch on your phone. And I initially started to play it like that, but then once I realized I can actually connect a controller to my phone and play it that way, this was one of the very first games in which I actually did that. I was able to play through cloud this game, or I was able to play the game through the cloud. And it was actually one of the better experiences I've had with the game. It did crash once, but you should know that the cloud, playing through the cloud is it's hit and miss. It depends on your internet and also depends on your connection, probably sometimes with the app. Anyways, the story begins with your mom, or sometimes you can even choose the option of not being with your mom, trying to get you to be more social. And your mom, or not your mom, tries to do this by having you go out with people, or basically just socializing and having some fun. Her theory on getting this done is by throwing you at your cousin in this wonderfully small city of Verona Beach during the summer. After you have a great walk with your cousin and you get acclimated with dates, the action begins in the very first dungeon where your cousin kind of explains it, but ultimately you meet this character there, Isaac, who basically teaches you the ropes on how to play this game. The dungeons are a place to overcome your fears. Any type of fear that you've manifested in your entire lifetime, or just in your life. In this concept, we've got cell phones. People we got here. You got wielders, and you've got, well, weapons. And, essentially what it is that the wielders take these weapons and fight their fears through the dungeons. Ultimately, the concept is it's very interesting. So once all that's acclimated, one by one, you find out they all ended up in the dungeon and were somewhat damaged. The other aspect of the story has you getting to know your weapon mates. By the time you max out one weapon, you can approach the end of the game and end right then and there. The story with the weapon characters borderlines between fine and decent to sometimes cringy. But I liked what I saw and I heard. I actually laughed at a few of them. Unfortunately, this type of humor is prevalent today. I mean that some of the dialogue and situations are fairly creepy, abusive, and wrong. The end of the game was kind of a letdown, but it didn't bother the experience overall. I had a fondness of the characters and story as a whole. It just felt like everyone having a good time. The mechanics of the game goes as follows. It's a hack and slash dungeon crawler with a dating sim thrown in there. Both aspects will increase the level of your weapon mates. On the dating sim portions, you choose how to answer from a few options. So there's some dialogue. You pick which option you think is the best. Depending on how you answer, you acclimate points towards wooing your weapon partner. This also occurs at certain intervals in the dungeon. So what I mean by that, to elaborate a little further, if you have these little break moments, sometimes you'll be asked to, you have a little conversation and you may present a gift. You present a really good gift, you get some points. You don't, you get no points. When it comes to, wooing your partner, you have to go out on, sometimes the dates are mandatory. Like, as soon as you do an activity or you say yes to them, they will thrust you right into that date already. Sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes. The dungeon crawling portion allows you to grow closer in a few ways, by clearing the floor together, beating the dungeon, and even collapsing in the dungeon. So even if you collapse in the dungeon, you still get some points towards your weapon partner. Once you max out their level, that character will text you back. So there's different levels. There's level 0 to level 1, level 1 to level 2. Once you max out a level, the character will either text you back, or an event happens where you go back to your apartment. Not all weapons were made equal, in the gameplay section. Some characters, such as the brass knuckles, laser saber, dagger, and scythe, were perhaps my favorite weapons, and they also saved my bum booty quite a few times. As well as, but it's primarily because of their abilities, not really more so the weapon. I personally didn't care for the glaive or the talwar until after I had maxed them out, as their abilities were, they were kind of meh. When they're maxed out, the final ability you have makes it all worthwhile for those weapons. However, that's when you max them out. Go into certain dungeons, like they'll ask you if you want to change a weapon. So if once you get acclimated to a dungeon and their floors, you would understand, oh, this is the boss. I know a weapon to use to fight this boss. Clear the level, go back to using another weapon of one of your favorites. Do things that way. I was able to do that. I finally figured out, oh, these weapons are made for these portions of the game. And then there's some parts, there's some floors that you can use any weapon. And that's basically the only way you can really beef up your levels. When you fall in the dungeon, it is not a game over, and and you can just try it all over again. In fact, it is the only way for you to level up in the game. So falling in combat is the only way you can level up in the game. Another way of fighting back in the dungeon is through these. Another way of fighting back in dungeons are tools that you make, and sometimes they're given to you, called designs. Most of the designs weren't entirely helpful, but the designs I frequented, like the copy, the turret, those were, they helped me get through the second dungeon specifically. The first dungeon is okay. Designs are but one of the few things that can be found in dungeons. Other things are materials to make outfits, other materials, gifts, headgears, and a minigame device. There's also, you can actually collect money in the game. You can also use that money to purchase items, tickets, gifts, anything like that. And these can be found in hidden areas, defeating enemies, breaking chests and objects, and even purchased across stores. You can't purchase money in the game, though. So the only way for you to accolade money is if you actually either sell something. I think you can sell something, or, actually beating enemies and cutting open chests. This may sound like a ton to get invested in, but it actually didn't take me a long time to 100% the game. It's only about 20 hours. If that. The reason it took me 20 hours is specifically only for the minigame. The minigame in that game is hella hard. That hard level took me forever. The last bits I would like to refer to are just the audio and graphics. The voice acting was decent, it was fine. Yet the soundtrack is what I want to talk about more. It's actually very stellar. I understand the game is indie and most of the budget went into the game itself, so the performances the game presented were serviceable. The soundtrack is definitely, as I mentioned before, the reason that I love diving into the game. I never play a Game Pass game on my phone, but this was, the first and still is the only time I've ever done and played that. It sounds really good on my phone. The music is very catchy. It's very engaging and occasionally moving. Occasionally, like I wouldn't say like it made me you know uh, cry or anything like that, but it was very when moments occurred, you felt tension. When other moments occurred, you felt kind of sad. This developer has made a promising product that does deserve some love. Seeing that the reviews online have not, skewed my perception either. The game's kind of like middling. It's kind of somewhat favorable reviews, but kind of middling reviews. I would personally give the game an 8 out of 10. It's definitely a great indie game that deserves some attention. So check it out over a weekend. So, yep. Sorry about that. You know, working out the kinks. The reviews will get better over time, so just be sure to provide any feedback that you guys want to give me. I decided to cut it short and only show the beginning of the game. That way you only see the beginning of the game. I wanted to add more clips, but I felt that would kind of ruin the game a little bit more. Plus, you can see reviews on that. You can see a little bit of clips and what I'm talking about on YouTube if you want. I'm just doing this as like a, just how you would be when you first started playing the game. And the review is basically me looking at the game again, playing it through the beginning. I mean, it could definitely do some work. So I will see you guys next time. Just be safe. Don't get sick. Hopefully you guys don't get sick. Hopefully nothing ever happens to any of your family members. I will see you on the next video, which I hope is very, very soon.